Hello and welcome to the 3Bs podcast, where we go beyond the numbers and get into what actually makes a business work. I'm your host, Stephanie Marshall, founder of ABCS UK, a multi-award-winning boutique finance and systems partner. I help business owners who've outgrown the basics bring clarity, structure and proper systems into their business so things finally feel in control. If you want more clarity, more confidence and a business that doesn't feel like constant chaos, you're in the right place. Each week we tackle real problems, answer the questions you're probably already thinking, and give you practical steps you can actually use in around 15 minutes. So if you're ready to build a better business with confidence and clarity, then let's go. Hello and welcome back to another episode of the 3Bs podcast, your go-to place for around 15 minutes of motivation, education, and inspiration to help you build a better business each week. If we haven't met before, hi, my name is Stephanie Marshall. I'm the founder of ABCS UK, a multi-award-winning boutique finance and systems partner, and I help growing businesses who have outgrown their bookkeeper move from messy, reactive finances to clear, structured numbers and systems they can actually use to run their businesses properly. Because I really care about the people behind the businesses, not just the numbers. Now, today's episode is a little bit different because I want to take you behind the scenes of my business. Not the polished version, not the version that looks neat and tidy from the outside, the actual version. Because one of the biggest problems in business is comparing your reality to what you think someone else's looks like. From the outside, a business like mine might look organized, calm, structured, like everything is under control. And to an extent, yes, but not because it's perfect, because it's intentional. And I think this is the biggest misconception. People assume that some business owners are just naturally organized, naturally productive, naturally good at managing things. And I'm not. What you're seeing is built. It is definitely not natural. For example, I recorded 8 episodes of the podcast this morning, and the mic didn't work for any of them. So we're re-recording, we're taking 2, and this is just a way of me showing you one example of things don't always go to plan, but what you will see is every episode go out every Thursday as normal. Behind the scenes, I do not rely on memory, I do not rely on motivation, and I definitely don't rely on I'll remember to do that later. Because I know that doesn't work. I've made the mistakes, I've learned the hard way. So instead I build things so I don't have to think about them constantly. I like to remove that mental load. If something happens more than once in my business, it gets turned into a process. Even if it's simple, because repeating something without a system just creates friction every time. If you've listened to the podcast before, you've heard me talk about sticky bits. The sticky bits in business is something that doesn't run as smoothly as I would like it to, something that requires a bit of extra input, that takes time, that drags me down. If there is a sticking point, I will find a way to smooth that out. Because there's something people don't realize as business owners. When you don't have a way of doing things, you don't have a procedure or a system in place, every single task requires thought. And that thought takes energy, so that by the end of the day, you're not just tired from doing the work, you're tired from thinking about how to do the work. That mental load adds up and is why many business owners experience burnout. From the outside, it might look like I'm busy. There's always something happening. Clients, content, the podcast, events. But behind the scenes, I'm very intentional about what I say yes to. But that wasn't always the case. At the beginning, I listened to all the gurus on the internet and social media that said I should say yes to every opportunity because you never know where it's going to lead. And I get that, I do. But I did say yes to everything. Every opportunity, every client, and every idea. Because that felt like growth, that felt like what you had to do to build a business. But what that actually creates is noise. Noise makes it harder to focus, to prioritize, and to make good decisions because everything feels really important. And because everything feels important, nothing is clear. There's no priorities. I had to move from saying yes to everything and figuring it out to asking myself, does this actually make sense for the business? Because that's a really different way of thinking. When an opportunity now comes my way, I think, does this move the business closer to my goals? If the answer is no, is it something I really want to do and is worth my time? or is worth the investment? Again, if the answer's no, the answer is no. There are opportunities that look good. They look like they're going to bring in more sales, they're going to give you more visibility, they're going to give you more growth. But behind the scenes to those opportunities, I am always asking, does this fit how I want the business to run? If somebody wants me to come on a Zoom call or a webinar in an evening, I have children to raise, and that's more important to me. Does this create more complexity? Is this going to make things that already exist in my business more difficult? And does this align with what I'm building? Is this what I want it to grow into? Because not every opportunity is a good opportunity. There has been many times that I have been and done filming, and I've been on podcasts and done lots of recording for big companies. I've done some incredible work with big companies that never ever will see the light of day. I did 2 television recordings in 2025. I'm not sure we'll ever make it to the TV. I have said yes to going to speaking at stages, spent money on hotels, only for it to be an absolute flop. I've been told to attend certain awards because wink, wink, nudge, nudge, you need to be there, you need to be in the room. And I didn't win. I didn't get any benefit from it. Now, I'm not saying you have to win every award you go to, but don't tell people, don't make out like they have won something, so they have to be in the room. I've spent thousands of pounds on tickets to awards that actually were a complete waste of my time. I got nothing back from. I did not make any networking contacts. I did not grow the business in any way from attending those events. From the outside, I know decisions of mine can look quick too. Like, she just knows what she's doing. She's just head down and doing it. But that's because you only see things when I am ready to release them. I work with quite a few music clients. For those that don't know, I'm very passionate about 2 things outside of business: motorsport and music. I work with a few musicians and a few artists, and the process of releasing an album, 95% of that is done behind closed doors. There is the songwriting or the buying of songs for the album. For every 14-track album, there's probably 20 to 30 songs in the running for that album. Then once they've decided on the songs, they need to look at what direction they want to go in. Is there a particular way that they want it to sound? Some like particular themes, so all are sad songs, or all are uplifting songs, or they are country vibes, or R&B vibes. Like, what does the artist want that to be? Once that's decided and the songs are then decided, you've then got what running order they go in. How does it flow? Lyrically, sonically, does it play through correctly? Then you've got to decide the album name, the track list, the visuals, what does the album cover going to look like? What is the different versions? Are we going to have vinyl? Are we going to have cassettes? What merch are going to go alongside this? Then there is the marketing arm of it. By the time you get to hearing that an artist you like is about to release an album, there's about a year's worth of work gone into that before you see the light of day of it. Behind the scenes decisions are considered in my business too. They're not slow, but they're not reactive either. There's something that takes time and planning behind the scenes before I'm willing to put it out to the world. And what that looks like in my business is, before I make a decision, I'm thinking, what is the impact of this? Does this create more work or less? Does this simplify things or complicate them? Because quick decisions are easy, off-the-cuff decisions are easy. Good decisions often take a little bit more thought. I want you to just pause for a second. Think about the last few decisions you made in your business. Were they reactive, off-the-cuff, done quickly? Or were they considered? Did you put thought into them? Because if it's the latter, that changes the way your business grows. I often joke that my business is a swan, because on the top it looks graceful and serene and calm and running like clockwork. And underneath, sometimes my legs are kicking like there is no tomorrow. From the outside, a business can look calm, like everything just works and it's smooth and nice and wonderful. But calm doesn't happen by accident. It's maintained and it's looked after. What people don't see behind the scenes, there are constant small adjustments and little tweaks, whether that's processes, reviewing what's working and changing what isn't. It's not dramatic, but it's consistent. It's something that has to happen all the time in order to grow and scale a business. Because without those small adjustments, things start to slip, and then suddenly everything feels really hard. You don't need to overhaul your entire website in one go. You need to make a small tweak to the homepage or a small tweak to the services page. and step by step you build it. One of the biggest ones is that from the outside, it can look like business owners are doing everything. One of the biggest questions I get asked is, Stephanie, how do you do it all? How do you raise 2 children, run a household, run a practice, do a podcast, write books, teach financial education to children, run a community for business owners, attend all of these networking events, be in all the good spaces, do all the content and the creation and the media on your own? And that's because the ones who build sustainable businesses know what actually matters, and more importantly, what doesn't, and get to say no. I have a personal rule with decision making. Behind the scenes, I am constantly asking, what will actually move this business forward? If it doesn't, it's either simplified, delegated, or removed. Because doing everything is not the goal here. And when I say delegated, I mean automated, so that the computer sends the email. The repetitive tasks are done without me. AI helps me. I delegate things to software, tools, and technology to help me. I don't have a human to delegate to, but if you do have a team, you can do that. If something's too complex, then how can we make this easier? I've said before, and people don't believe me when I say as a bookkeeper and accountant, if you need to write your invoices out on pen and paper, go for it. Because sometimes you just need it to be simple. You don't need 17 different softwares, a quoting software, a proposal software, a tool for pricing to send an invoice. And sometimes things just have to be removed. What no longer serves you. We've had a real big transition at ABCS UK where we've repositioned, and we are now showing our value and demonstrating it better for what we actually do. And in order to do that, we had to say goodbye to some clients that no longer fit. Saying no to something or letting something go, I've provided services that are not profitable. I have built software for people, charged what I believed was a fair fee, and then they kept moving the goalposts and wanted scope creep and wanted more support for this, and could they do this? But they've already paid what was agreed, and having the boundaries in place to say no, sorry, is quite difficult when you're growing and building a business, but it's important to learn to say no or remove the things that no longer serve you. It's your business. It's okay to change your mind. Now, I want to warn you about the danger of just getting it done, because a lot of business owners say, oh, I'll just get it done. And that works in the short term, but long term, that's going to create inefficiency, which is going to cost you time and money. It creates inconsistency, which makes everything harder than it needs to be. And then it creates exhaustion. Another big one I get all the time is that, well, you don't have any problems, you don't have any challenges. From the outside, it can look like some businesses don't have problems. They do. Every business does. Every business at some point has a challenge to overcome. The difference is that some problems are managed early and some are ignored until they become bigger. Behind the scenes, I deal with things early because small problems are much more easy to manage than when they snowball. Big problems are usually expensive. If you think about your business right now, what are you currently avoiding doing? Because I know there's something. What are you currently delaying? I'll do that later. I'll fix it later. It'll be fine. And what are you currently hoping will fix itself? Because the answer to those questions is usually where your pressure is building, and that's the thing you need to tackle first. The real behind the scenes truth is that behind every business that looks calm, structured, and in control is not perfection, and I can guarantee you that. It's decision making confidently and with clarity. It's intention of the things that are being done in the business are for the business to reach its goals, not for any other reason. And it's consistency, repeated over time. This is also about how you see yourself. As a business owner, I get it. But the minute you change your mindset from I'm trying to run a business to I run this business properly, it's a big mental shift, but the results that come from that are huge. I am a CEO of my business. I run my business. I'm not trying to run a business. The business is not running me. I run this business and I will build it into something better, something bigger, something scalable. You don't need to become someone completely different. I'm not asking you to change who you are overnight, but you do need to think differently about how your business runs, because what you see on the outside is built behind the scenes. As always, before we finish, I want to give you one thing to do this week. This week, I want you to simply notice what you're relying on your memory for. Make a note of it. Every time you think, I'll remember that, write it down. Turn it into a simple system, even if it's basic, if it's notes in your phone, because the less your business relies on your brain, the easier it becomes to run. And the mental load is going to reduce, which is going to reduce your stress and make you a better business owner. And by this time next week, you'll already start to feel that shift. So if you've been looking at other businesses and thinking they've got it all together, if you've been looking at mine and thinking, God, how does she do it all? Just remember you're only seeing the outside. I will be open and transparent on this podcast always. But what matters is what's going on behind the scenes. If you found this episode useful, please do like, rate and review. Subscribe if you're on YouTube or Spotify. It takes you a couple of seconds, but it really does help more business owners find the podcast so we can all build better businesses. And if you want support building a business that actually feels structured, clear, and in control behind the scenes, that's exactly what we do at ABCS UK. The link is in the show notes if you'd like to book 15 minutes in my diary to see how we can help you. Because your business deserves better. Thank you so much for listening, and I will see you next week for the next episode. Bye. And that brings us to the end of another episode of the 3Bs podcast. If this has helped you think differently about your business, then it's done its job. Make sure you're following or subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. And if you found it useful, please do leave a review. It helps more business owners find this and start running their businesses properly. If you want more insights behind the scenes and the reality of what it actually takes to build a better business, come and connect with me on social media. And if you're ready to stop guessing and start running your business with clarity, structure, and confidence, your next step is just a click away, because your business deserves better. I'll see you in the next episode.